to another edition of Bikes, Burpees, and Backhands. This is your host, Dave Matthews. Finishing up the series with Mr. Tony Tran, former student of mine, professional athletic trainer. Mr. Tran, here in a few minutes, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about some cycling injuries and also a little bit of, tips for pickleball. So all of you pickleball and cycling fans out there, got any questions about road rash, concussions, K-tape, other new athletic treatments and or pickleball thoughts as far as court positioning and so forth, stay tuned. I am working feverishly through this week. We have the Decatur Ride of Silence. If you don't know about it, it is Wednesday, May 15th at 7 p.m. You can go on our Facebook fan page, Bike Friendly ATL, look under events. It is a free 9-mile ride, police escorted with a trail and a lead vehicle. There is also a post-ride celebration party at Bike Law, which is right there on McDonough here in Decatur. Sponsored by the Bike Law folks, Bruce Hagan, Ken Roscoff, and those great folks up there. Hope everybody can go online, sign up for our event as going, and also do the same out of respect for Bruce and his staff to give us an idea of how many are coming so we can prepare properly. We don't want to short anybody. You will be given a free Ride of Silence t-shirt if you sign up online, so please go there and do so. Let's make this ride the biggest in the U.S. It is possible here in Decatur. Anyway, back to our podcast with Mr. Tony Tran. This is the third of a three-part series. I hope you enjoy it, and here we are off to the last part of this series.
This should help.
Okay, good. Steve, get your game going, buddy. I just looked at him on Facebook. I want to do a little some cycling questions. Us in cycling, we have basically two or three main injuries, and you've probably seen some of us come in maybe. Number one, we, sometimes get our wheels clipped. You're in front of me and something happens and I clip your wheel. Well, I'm the one that goes down, which is okay because I'm the one that clipped your wheel.
Yeah.
But then we literally just slide on the asphalt. So we come into you and we've got nothing but raw red strawberry looking skin on our thigh. What's the best way? And the real reason why we shave our legs a lot of times is because air is a carrier of bacteria. So instead of waiting till you have that skid mark, you get rid of the hair so that when you have that skid mark, it's a lot easier to treat.
Right. So I don't know too much about bicycling. I was going to actually ask you about that later, but that sounds pretty nasty.
It's nasty.
I guess if you're me, what I would do is I would kind of clean the area with some saline solution or some kind of hydrogen peroxide just to clean the area. And then if you need to get on the bike again and keep on going, I would take some Vaseline or some kind of triple antibiotic ointment, kind of slap it on there, put a gauze pad on it, wrap it up with some Powerflex or some sort of bandage, and just to keep it covered to kind of protect it from any bacteria or prevent it from getting infected.
Sure.
And then I would just get back on the bike and keep on going. But if you're a softy like me, probably stop. Don't get on that bike. Clean the area, and then when you're at home and you're in like a clean environment, you can leave it open to kind of let it dry up.
Right.
Kind of let it scab over.
Yep.
I wouldn't let it get wet because if you let it get wet and moist, it's going to take a little bit longer to scab up.
Okay.
Is that what you do? Or do you do anything different?
To me, that's a natural process. And I know how a lot of people do this and this and this. And I'm like, it's got to scab up. That's how you create new skin. And from
Right.
there, that scab will start falling off when the new skin comes up under it. That's just the way the body works.
Yep.
Unfortunately, as
Exactly.
humans are not that patient. We want it like that.
Yep.
What about concussions?
Concussions.
Yeah,
So, oh, yeah, that's like the new hot topic in sports medicine these days. You always see on the news and all of that stuff. Football,
especially. Yeah,
Yep. So for me, I work at a high school, so we have like a concussion protocol that we
sure.
go through. If an athlete goes down, if they lose consciousness, we run out, we evaluate them. We go through an assessment, a standardized assessment to kind of gauge and evaluate the concussion. But some of the signs I'm looking out for are dizziness. You may have blurred vision. You may have nausea. The feeling of wanting to throw up or actually throwing up is a
Sure.
big sign of concussion. So, like, let's say if Dave, if you fall off a bike and you may have these signs and symptoms, I would pull you out. I would do this evaluation. I would look for those signs and symptoms. I would test your coordination. And then if I find out that, hey, Dave might have a serious head injury, I'm not going to let him go back and compete.
Sure.
Because the worst thing you can do is let an athlete go back. They fall again, they get hit again. Now you're having second impact syndrome. You can make the head injury a lot worse than it is. And,
sure.
Fortunately, in the past, there's been documented cases of death because of it. So we definitely don't want that. And then some ways to manage a concussion. You generally don't want to overstimulate the brain. So this one is hard, even for the high school age kids that I work with. They're always on their phones, on the TV screens. We want to limit as much of that as possible because with those devices, you're stimulating the brain too much. So what you want to do is you want to sit, dark room, rest, sleep. You can sleep as much as you want to rest the brain. I know in the past, they always told you to, wake up a person every 5 minutes or something?
Yeah.
So studies are showing now normal practice is that you can let the person sleep. That's perfectly fine. You can take Tylenol if needed for a headache to let those symptoms subside. And then once those symptoms do subside, you take them through a protocol. What we do is we take an athlete through a series of exercises and workouts throughout a 5-6 day stage process.
Right.
And the workouts get harder to kind of stimulate the body and the brain to see if it can handle those stresses again. And then once you can do a full workout, you can do a full practice without having any symptoms, then let's say you can go back and do your normal activity.
Right.
If you're vomiting and you're having terrible nausea, dizziness is out of control, and the symptoms get worse, you want to go see a doctor.
Right.
Get yourself to an emergency room.
Right.
But yeah.
Anything else you got to add? This has been a lot of fun and a lot of information.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just mumbling off a whole bunch of info. I don't know, is there anything else that you may have questions about?
No, I mean, we actually talked about what is K-tape? What is K-tape? Should they buy cases of it, or does it make you Roger Federer-like? Or not that I've ever seen him with any on him, but I see it around and people are always asking about it.
Yeah, if K-tape made me like Roger, I would probably just be dressed in KT tape. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
So what does it do? Does it just stimulate blood flow or?
So KT tape, also, was it a kinesio tape?
Right.
What it does is it's a product that's advertised to provide support to a joint, to a muscle, to an injury. I've I've also read that it kind of helps to stimulate blood flow depending on how you apply it.
Right.
Now, it's advertised to do all of that without sacrificing any mobility issues.
Right.
So if you think about like an ankle brace or like a knee brace, those things are pretty bulky.
Sure.
They kind of get in the way of doing your sport or activity. So KT tape is a very minimalistic thing to provide support.
Right.
Now, does it work? There's not many, or if any, studies that I've seen that actually, support it.
Sure.
With that being said, I have a lot of athletes that swear by it.
Right.
They use it. That it gives them the support they need without sacrificing mobility, and they love it. So I'll put it on them if they
Sure.
ask,
Right.
and if they have it. But other than that, I generally don't use KT tape. One reason being that it's very expensive.
Wow.
It's like $15-$20 a roll these days.
Wow.
It's not very feasible for me to use it on all my athletes.
Sure.
If they buy it and they have it and they want me to use it, sure, I'll put it on you.
Right.
Let's see. But yeah, I mean, you see all the pros using it. You see the Bryan brothers, I think.
Yeah.
They use it. Carrie Walsh, the Olympic volleyball player, she uses it. She's very famous for it. But I mean, it's worth a try, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. It won't hurt you.
Right. Right. All you do is peel it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think I'll be using any KT tape anytime soon at $15 a roll. Whoa.
Yes. It gets pricey. I mean, but people are willing to do a lot to kind of get back on the, court. So you see it a lot for sure.
Do you see, and I'm sure it hasn't changed, it's just because humans haven't changed. Do you see things, we laugh at golf for having all the gimmicks to teach you a proper stroke and this and this and this. Do you see things like those gimmicks? Am I saying KT tape is one? But, sometimes when an athlete believes in something, it ain't really the product. It's actually your head is actually the one turning the screws,
Right.
Do you see gimmicks like that around, in the athletic field?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you see a lot of people using, technology nowadays,
right,
to kind of improve their performance. Now you see, it's not just a mental thing. For like video analysis,
sure.
I see a lot of people, videotaping themselves, looking at their form at a microscopic level.
Right.
I think definitely a good use for those kind of tools.
Sure.
To kind of evaluate and just kind of maybe see what you're doing wrong and what you're tweaking.
Right.
To kind of, fix something. I think those are great.
Sure.
But then there's like other things like, I don't know, there's all sorts of supplements and things that you can buy over the counter now that, advertise this and that.
Right.
But in reality, it may just be, a sugar pill.
A placebo. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So you see some things that work and you're like, oh man, that's definitely a placebo. It's a mental thing. But, there's things out there that help, like video analysis and all these apps nowadays that, you use, which can be beneficial, I think.
Sure.
Sure.
Well, I think I've got everything answered that I wanted to have answered, especially from my student standpoint. They're like, ask him this and ask him this. And I was like, okay, I'll ask him. You got anything you want to add? I mean, we've pretty much run the gamut on a lot of the stuff you were talking about that we've talked about and the simple things, but there's a lot more complex things that I would tell them, just like you would, that they need to go, seek a athletic trainer or even a doctor orthopedist or somebody to get that ball rolling if it's something bigger that you can't handle the pain of.
Right. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're struggling with something that's going longer than like 2 weeks, and things aren't getting better, maybe it's time to seek out a professional that may know a little bit more, rather than going online and WebMDing stuff.
Right,
Uh, they can get their hands on you to see what's going on, and they have more tools to kind of evaluate,
right,
to maybe.
right.
Um, as far as questions, I mean, uh, I know you're getting into or you've been in the pickleball world, right?
Right.
Teach, and you have a group that you work with. Are you seeing like injuries that pop up in pickleball that you're not used to seeing? And
No, I think most of them are. The good thing about our group is that most of them, out of about 50 people, most of them play at least a couple of times a week, like a Monday and a Wednesday or a Wednesday and a Friday. So there's a pretty good consistent expectation. They get better because they're playing 2 to 3 days. Some of them play 3 days a week, and there's a day off in between. And a lot of them are, 45 and up age-wise, but that gives their body a chance to recuperate. And so they come back and their body gets used to that grind. And this overall group is pretty darn solid about coming back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that shows to where you don't see all those injuries because it's consistent. Like you said, they condition their body.
That conditioning, you have that, that strength and that muscle memory and all the things that go along with being prepared to compete. So yeah.
That's right. So yeah, a lot of them do that consistently. So from my standpoint, we had one gentleman, he was about 75 when we first started. And, as you get older, your skin gets thinner. And when you fall, that skin is not as thick as it used to be. It breaks, and you need Band-Aids and stuff. And so from there, it's just Neosporin Band-Aids and put it on there and, dress it up. But from there, I tell people every day, I say, if there's somebody new coming in, don't remember when you're 20, because that'll get you in so much trouble that you'll be on your face in a heartbeat. And they're like, really? And I go, really? I see it every day. So take your time, get into the sport, and learn a little bit of the gist of it. And then you know a little more what to expect. You don't get blindsided by a shot that you thought you could get to, but all of a sudden the ball is not going to bounce because it's not a tennis ball. And you go reaching, well, there went your balance. Now you're falling on your face. So,
Right.
And I've seen that happen a few times, but most of the people in there are very good about keeping their balance and, maintaining a good level of mental awareness as to what they're doing. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. So the reason why I asked that is because I've noticed, because I started playing pickleball some, and for me, this is bad. I know I should, bend my knees and crouch down to pick up the ball, but with the pickleball paddle, you can't do like the thing you do with the racket to kind of
That's
pick
right.
up the ball. So you're like constantly like hunching over to pick up, and like I swear my back kills me.
You got to bend your knees.
For a few hours.
You got to bend your knees.
Yeah,
Bend your knees.
I know. I don't practice what I preach all the time.
Oh, you don't? I won't tell you what I don't do.
But yeah, I was just wondering if you're seeing more back pain and all that.
No, I think most of our players, and like I tell them, everybody's going to have a place in the court they're going to feel comfortable going from or to. And once you've played, I'd say at least about 3 or 4 good hours of pickleball, the gist of where you want to stand and the gist of how aggressive you want to be, you can determine at that point. Up until then, you're just kind of learning the newness of the game and what you do and don't want to do. And that's usually where most people get thrown in there like a tumbleweed, and they're like, oh my God, this is not tennis, this is not badminton. And I'm like, you're right, we call it pickleball. So, that's the one thing. But I mean, most of our players, they learn to use their hands, and, you got to learn that racket is not, that paddle is not 27 inches long.
Right.
It's right there at the extension of your hand. And that's a whole nother game you have to learn. It really is.
Yeah, it's really fun too. So.
Oh, yeah, playing with Sarah's a lot of fun. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to get back. You need to do another DMTA thing. I miss those pickleball.
You're more than welcome to come over and play any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday morning. I'll get you in. We'll get you playing. Oh, we have a good group in there, good advanced players too. They'll have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
Man, I don't know. You're the podcast guy now.
Well, I usually leave it open for final comments. Whether like I said, we both said, if you've got some pain that you can't tolerate, something probably more there than just a ace bandage or something going to help it. You need to go get some serious medical advice from somebody that knows what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're injured, be cautious. Your body is smart. It's going to tell you when you can and cannot do something.
Right.
For sure. Don't live by the Advil. There's guys out there that just pound Advil before they go into court, and they just do that, and they live like that. And that's not probably the most healthiest thing to do.
Right.
To impact your body with all those chemicals.
Sure.
Be smart, condition the body. Don't go out there and do 30 miles of biking after not doing that for 30 years. I don't know.
and that happens. That happens. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I work in a different setting than maybe you're the audience of this podcast, because I deal with a lot of high school students. A lot of high school students be, dramatic, and they don't know the difference between actual pain and that soreness that kind of, maybe you worked hard and now your muscles are just sore, and, that's something you need to get through to kind of find, a new level for yourself physically.
Right.
I get a lot of that where I work now. So there's real pain where they're sharp and it's numbing and you can't move. That's one thing.
Right.
Pain. But then it's just soreness and you're just achy. Throw a hot pack on and foam roll and stretch.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
Well, all right, Tony, I appreciate you helping me out, man. And hopefully this will help a lot of other people get through their, blisters and injuries and minor injuries and tendinitises and stuff. And we'll help them get back on the court or back on the pickleball court or on the bike, a lot faster. And that's always everybody's wish, is to keep exercising and moving.
Yep, for sure. Well, thanks for having me on. I never thought I'd be on a podcast, and it's good to, for you to be my first. So it was fun. I'm
very honored, and like I said, I always regard your expertise, like I always have, regarded your opinion very highly, because you're very highly. Look on the camera, God Almighty, everybody's gonna be going, turn Dave off.
That was the third of 3 editions of the Tony Tran podcast here at Bikes, Burpees, and Backhands. Just want to remind everybody, I am working on a podcast with Miss Michelle Fitzpatrick Thomas, who is the author of Through Deeper Waters. Michelle is the daughter of one of my Ghost Bike recipients, Mr. David Fitzpatrick, from about a little over 4 years ago. Many good reading. I urge you to go to Amazon and pick up a copy of that, either through your Kindle or whatever source of reading you use. It is a good read. Didn't take a ton of time to read it, mainly because once I got into it, I was sucked in. It is a very good, helpful book for many of the things that I go through. and have gone through physically, I urge you to get a copy of that and start reading as soon as possible. Very good read. Leave her a review if possible. As always, plenty of podcasts out there you can listen to. I appreciate you listening to this one. It's meant nothing more than for you to get educated up on a lot of different subjects involving tennis, cycling, pickleball, and, hope it all helps you in the long run. Once again, I want to thank Miss Morgan Rowe of the Morgan Rowe Band. She brings us in and takes us out with our tunes. Very good girl, just had knee surgery. Hope she's back on the bike pretty soon. I know she's got a nice recumbent bike, so I'm looking forward to getting on the trails with Morgan again. Hope everybody has a great day, and happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. And hope you tune in again. Maybe I'll do a French Open preview coming up. Did in the Madrid Open today. I won't spoil if any of you trying to watch that replay from today between Djokovic and Tsitsipas. But the Rome Open is coming up. I think Mr. Federer is going to play that. Sounds like he's getting pretty serious about the French. So hopefully some good tennis coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And like I said, I appreciate everybody listening in. Hope you have a great day and a happy Mother's Day.